Okay, we're in the middle of reassembling the keyboard here, so some of the keys are not back. Tons of mouse droppings, nesting material. We were very lucky where the mice chose to chew. We have some chewing on the keys here, but nothing on acoustic components. There's a little bit of fuzz on some of the dampers where they chewed, but nothing that interrupts the functionality. We did lose the felt for the soft bar, but this is not a specialized part, so this will not be difficult or expensive to repair. We could do this with just normal craft felt. We had 3 broken bridle straps, which I've replaced with these that are too long. These are clip-on bridle straps. Let's see if I can get a picture of that little metal clip instead of being glue inserted into the shank. So because they're too long, this has to be bent right now, but once the keys are back in, I'll see if that's going to be in the way of the fallboard. All of that was too much information. What I want to discuss is the dynamics of the piano. So the touch response mechanism of the piano is basically a miniature catapult. You're shooting the hammer at the string and catching and reloading it. You have to be out of the way of the string or it has no room to ring. That being said, you want to have the full possible range of motion. You want to have a good starting point on your hammer, and you want to have as close as humanly possible to the string when you fire the catapult. That's called escapement. Technically, for a Yamaha, you're not looking for close as humanly possible. You're looking for 2 millimeters. But this is what your current let-off is. This is just E in the middle of the piano. So again, this is easily discussed as how far from the string are we. That one, not horrible, not great. Too distant, but not terrible. This one's pretty far. Here's A below A440. So what this does to the piano is it makes it less dynamic. So this is G below A440. I'm just trying to get the camera in a good spot to see what we're hoping to see here. So for this type of dynamic, it's difficult to play the piano softly because the hammer can't cross that great distance to strike the wire softly. It's also difficult for me to stabilize the instrument because I need to be able to knock the hammer as hard as I can into the wire to settle the wire and pull out any latent motion into the speaking length. So when I move the pin, this part moves first and moves most. So there's a stretch here that doesn't make it into the speaking length. You could imagine if I had a rubber band and I was stretching it over my finger, there'd be a lot of stretch here, but not a lot of stretch there. So I'm using that maximum force to the speaking length to draw out any latent motion. And when you have early let-off like this, I can't actually knock the string as loud as we'd like. This is on the list, but it is not on the list for today because the piano really needs to be square to the floor, which means it needs about 3 months of sitting here in order to really be grounded. The mover is correct, your front legs are decorative, but there's still wobble and a little bit of settling happening on the instrument. Usually you can tell if the piano is settled by whether this wheel has any ability to rotate in place, which it doesn't. But this one does. This one will rotate on us. It's usually not in the bass section where you get this kind of wobble, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next few months if everything squares off.